Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, full unsimulated penetration. No, yeah, no. Look, I understand that, but you've never directed a challenging piece of theatre, and I've never owned and operated a soft play centre. Hello? Hello? Prick. Joel Schumacher passed away this year, aged 80, following a battle with cancer. I've used Schumacher as a punchline and a punch bag over the years. Primarily, I've always thought of him as someone that was happy to work on any old shit as a hired gun, a position that's been tempered over the years as, frankly, I grew up a bit. Though I am admitting I'm at fault, the really disrespectful thing to do here would be to walk all that back for the sake of an obituary, so I'm not gonna. For the record, I'm a Batman Forever apologist. I like it more than the Tim Burton ones. Batman and Robin can still fuck off though, it's an overlong, boring mess of a film. Furthermore, I've always rated Falling Down, a movie that becomes more relatable the more daft cunts keep panic buying toilet paper.
I want breakfast.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm really sorry.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm really sorry too.
But we're not here to talk about any of that stuff. We're here to talk about Schumacher's second ever movie. This is DC Cab.
Hold it! I want to get one thing straight here, or I'm walking too. I don't work on January the 8th, because that's Elvis's birthday.
See, it turns out in 1983, Joel Schumacher co-wrote and directed a ragtag bunch of misfits story about a taxi company in Washington, D.C., produced by John Robot Spiders Peters, starring Mr. T, who to be fair is barely in it, but who fucking cares, it's Mr. T, Gary Busey's Cocaine, Bill Maher, and a young Adam Baldwin, with cinematography by Dean Cundy and music by Giorgio Moroder. Fuck me, I need to start putting full stops in these things. Adam Baldwin, who went on to a long and varied career as a character actor and internet chode, appears at the tender age of 21 playing Albert Hockenberry, a fresh-faced out-of-towner coming to the big city to work as a cabbie with his late dad's war buddy Harold. When he arrives, he finds out Harold's company, DC Cab, is in trouble. The team of misfit cabbies are up to no good. The taxis are falling to pieces, their slick rivals at the Emerald Cab Company are getting all the plum jobs, and the hack inspector is just looking for an excuse to shut them down.
We're working hard on the best we can, and all you want to do is close us down. Where's a kid like you at?
If you had any education, you'd know that you don't end a sentence with a preposition.
Oh, okay. So where you at, asshole?
Can Albert bring the team together, save the company and convince the shy waitress Claudette's scary boss to let him take her out on a date? No, they all die in a chip pan fire. The end. Of course they do, there's a fixing up the place montage and everything, fuck's sake.
Around the clock, we're gonna rock to the rhythm of the street, up and down the block. Around the clock, we're gonna rock.
Though he may have gone on to play tough guys across lots of different media, the Adam Baldwin we meet here looks like a successful Nazi cloning experiment to synthesise all of the Osmonds into a single person. That works perfectly, of course, since his country boy innocence is what tempers the sleazy, street-level world of 80s DC. That having been said, DC Cab is ultimately a high-camp farce written and directed by a sophomore director who began their career as a costume designer. While not technically a musical, a lot of that genre's hallmarks are here. Whilst a lot of the action takes place at street level, the camera then switches to a crane shot to reveal tightly choreographed scenes of the principal cast in brightly coloured pastel outfits. In these brief moments, the style of the film recalls the musicals of classical Hollywood, recreating imagery similar to something like Robert Wise's West Side Story. One of the big turning points in the narrative is signposted by the gang getting matching velvet bomber jackets during the aforementioned musical montage sequence. Mr. T even wears his fetching Pringle-style tank top. Lovely stuff. It's worth pointing out that Schumacher co-wrote 1976's Car Wash, a film that shares a similar premise and tone but is probably best known for its soundtrack. Much like Car Wash, it features a largely character-driven plot.
John's upstairs to your left.
The first half of the movie is an episodic series of vignettes in which Albert spends a few days with each of the cabbies to learn the ropes, only for a valuable missing violin to be thrown into the mix. The second half then switches gear completely as Albert is accidentally thrown into a kidnapping plot, and the DC Cab crew have to come together to hatch a scheme to rescue him before it's too late.
Albert?
Huh?
This your first time being kidnapped?
Huh?
It's our third. Yeah, don't worry.
As jarring as that sounds, the gear change from episodic comedy to kidnap caper works particularly well, since the script has handed all of the characters and their quirks to us on a plate up front. It's easy and narratively satisfying to see them come together as a team. Not to mention that the second act of the film focuses on the gang setting their differences aside, fixing up the depot, and taking co-ownership of the company. Dean Cundy's legendary cinematography is in full effect here. The nighttime scenes are very reminiscent of his work with John Carpenter. Inky blacks are broken up with harsh key lighting and subtle nighttime blues. Standout shots include this one of Mr. T's speech to the gang, in which this dolly zoom is used to reveal the Lincoln Memorial. And the opening shot of the movie where the bottom of a taxi is covered in the style of a spaceship from Star Wars. The change between noirish street-level scenes designed to show DC as a dark and frightening place and the more wholesome, pastel-coloured theatrical sections covered in daytime is seamless. It also makes for a nice visual metaphor. The working-class world of the cabbies and the extreme white-collar elitism of the ruling class of the American government are contrasted throughout. Plus, it's pretty great to think that an Oscar-nominated DOP shot this frame of Mr. T smashing through someone's dining room window.
Sorry, ma'am. Wrong house.
It's clear that Schumacher had a natural gift for comedy, and that he gets the best out of a large and diverse cast. A lot of the physical moments land particularly well, as we've just seen. In a lot of ways, it's really difficult to define DC Cab, which is probably one of its biggest strengths. After all, the 80s did bring us a number of classic genre hybrids, from the Terminator's blend of science fiction, slasher and noir, to Gremlin's Capra-esque Christmas love story set during a 1950s invasion panic B-movie. It's not exactly a musical, since nobody sings, yet the soundtrack is full of bespoke pop songs, and that score by Giorgio Moroder. There's a sweet romantic subplot, but I wouldn't really call it a romantic comedy. It sort of starts like a sketch anthology, but then it all comes together into one narrative halfway through. It's a little bit filthy, it's a little bit socially conscious, it's a little bit theatrical. It's hard to place, but ultimately it's loads of fun and well worth your time. A forgotten high camp gem that's guaranteed to lift your spirits in these troubled times. It's a bit like Blues Brothers, I suppose. I don't know, it's hard to categorise. Anyway, go watch it. It is available to rent and on demand now. Well, I hope that cheered you up a bit. Hey, I would have hoped so, especially since England had just gone into lockdown 2, cruise control. I'd quite like to continue to make these reviews, so I'll see you next time. Unless, society collapses first. In which case, next time you see me, I might be bludgeoning someone you love to death in a burnt-out Aldi so my family can get the last tin of dog food in the sector. Bye!